Hey, Doc Testa here, Chief Health and Wellness Officer for Pine Pollen Superfoods and Train for Longevity. In today's video, we're going to talk about eating late and how detrimental it is to your health. Now, I do health and wellness tips like this weekly, so if you'd like to get more of those, please subscribe to our YouTube channel below. But let's get started on this. This week, I saw a study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism called Metabolic Effects of Late Dinner in Healthy Volunteers, a randomized crossover clinical trial. We'll put this in the show notes, but I wanted to talk about this. They took 20 healthy individuals, 10 women, 10 men. Some of them ate a normal dinner, and I believe the time was 7 p.m., The late dinner people ate dinner at 10 p.m. And they wanted to see what this did to their overall metabolism. Now, number one, the late dinner people are certainly going way out of the bounds of the normal circadian rhythm and how our body's chronology really works, right? We know insulin levels peak around 4 o'clock in the afternoon and start to decrease, maybe even earlier than that, and start to decrease after that. So this late dinner is going to adversely affect digestion and metabolism of carbohydrates and just potentially wreak problems on the body. We know this from Sasha Panda's work at the Salk Institute, where he talks about the circadian rhythm and how after dark or close to it, our digestive processes and juices really come to a halt because, our genes adapted that when we didn't have light, we were going to sleep, we didn't have anything else to do. We've been able to influence or override the natural circadian rhythm because we've got electricity, we've got lights, we've got the refrigerator, we've got the stove, we've got delivery. And so we can stay up late and eat late. And we know for a fact that eating late or disruption, let's put it this way, disruption of the circadian rhythm is a carcinogen. And the two major disruptors of the circadian rhythm are eating late and light. So let's talk about this study. So randomized crossover trial. These people ate the same diet, isocaloric, macronutrients, 35% protein, 50% carbs, and 35% fat. They followed these people through a 2-week period. Is that right? Let me see. Yes. And so it was determined that late dinner induced nocturnal glucose intolerance. So basically becoming diabetic or pre-diabetic, right? Glucose intolerance, that's what that is with the late dinner. It also reduced fatty acid oxidation, or the ability of the body to burn fat, because when we go to sleep and haven't eaten, right up into the time we go to bed, our body naturally burns through the glucose floating around in the blood and eventually gets through the glycogen stored in the liver and some in the muscles, and starts to burn fat, right? That's when glucagon comes out. When there's no more glucose floating around, glucagon comes out and then gets the body to burn fat. So this process stopped. So they're not only pre-diabetic, diabetic, the late night eaters, their ability to burn fat stops, and same with mobilization of fat. So this whole metabolic process kicks in. These effects might promote obesity if they recur chronically. So, the take-home message is something we've been saying a long time now is don't eat past 7 o'clock, or be done eating at least 3 hours before bed, 7 o'clock at the latest, and align your circadian rhythm with your eating, or align your eating with your circadian rhythm is probably the better way of saying it, so that you get the maximum out of the nutrients that you feed your body, you don't start storing them as fat, and you don't become diabetic. Now, the other thing this study showed was an increase in cortisol, the stress hormone. So this is likely a stressor on the body, again, because nothing is really working to process this food after a certain time period. And so elevated levels of cortisol. Now we know that elevated levels of cortisol in the morning are what wakes us up. So you could maybe correlate that if you have elevated levels of cortisol, you may sleep poorly throughout the night on top of that. And we know sleep deprivation can definitely cause similar findings with weight gain, with glucose intolerance, with testosterone reduction, and a host of other things on the body. So just generally eating late, not such a good idea. Try to be done early, 7 o'clock at the latest, 3 hours before bed at minimum, and fast for a minimum of 12 hours to give your body the time to mobilize some fat and have glucagon kick in and do what it's supposed to do. All right, if you like this video, please share it with someone. I bet they'll thank you for it. And subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Give us some thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.